Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to take some really challenging material and just boil it down to the essentials you need.
And today we are jumping into a big one. David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me.
A book that it's polarizing for sure, but also incredibly powerful. It's known for this really intense, just brutal approach to mental toughness.
It really is. But our mission today, it's a bit more specific. We're trying to figure out why everyone says the audiobook is so much better.
Right.
Why it's not just another option, but like
Yeah.
the essential way to experience this story.
And that's the big aha moment, isn't it? The reason listening is so different from reading is that Goggins actually uses the format itself. It's part of the message. This isn't just a narrator reading a book. It's almost like a podcast
Oh.
or a director's commentary.
Exactly. The main text, that's narrated by a guy named Adam Skolnick. But that's just, setting the stage.
That's just the baseline.
Yeah. The magic happens between the chapters. Goggins himself just jumps in, and it's raw. It's totally uncensored commentary. He gives all this extra context, these behind-the-scenes stories that are nowhere in the printed book.
So you're not just, consuming a story. You feel like you're sitting there with him. He's breaking down every failure, every win. It turns into this incredibly personal coaching session.
It does. It adds this layer of authenticity that, ink on a page just can't touch. You can hear his voice change. You can hear the conviction. And sometimes you even hear the vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I give so much more weight to what he's teaching. It's the difference between reading a speech and actually hearing it from the person who lived through it all.
So let's talk about that life. Let's look at the man himself and this unbreakable mind he built, because this whole philosophy, it wasn't cooked up in some seminar. It was forged in fire.
Absolutely. It's a story of survival, first and foremost, then transformation.
And when you look at his origins, you totally get why his approach is so extreme. I mean, he starts out with just immense adversity.
Severe childhood abuse, poverty, racism, learning disabilities. He says it himself. He was overweight, feeling it everything before any of this started.
And that's the key, right? He didn't just get over those things. He used them. All that pain became the fuel to build this monster of mental strength.
Which is how you get to the unbelievable list of achievements.
Right.
I mean, just becoming a Navy SEAL, that alone puts you in the top 1% of performers. But for him, it wasn't enough.
No.
He goes on to do these insane ultra-endurance races, 100-mile ultra-marathons, sometimes with almost no training, Ironman triathlons, and then, of course, the pull-up world record.
Can we just pause on that number for a second? 4,030 pull-ups.
In 17 hours.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
It's more than just physical, though. It's proof. It's proof that his whole philosophy actually works, that you can train your mind to just completely override your body when it's screaming at you to quit.
And that really is the core message, isn't it? Goggins is teaching that the limits we think we have, they're mostly just in our heads. They're self-imposed. And his journey from all that trauma to doing the impossible, that's what gives him the authority to say it. He's basically handing you a roadmap for realizing you can do so much more than you think.
Okay, so if we're on board with that, what are the actual tools? How do you do it? Let's unpack the strategies he gives for building this kind of resilience.
And these are not just, feel-good inspirational quotes.
Yeah.
These are tactics for psychological warfare against yourself.
The first one, and it's the most famous one, is the 40% rule. Everyone's heard of it. But what is it actually? How do you apply that to, your job, not just running 100 miles?
Well, the secret comes from his training.
Yeah.
He noticed that when someone feels totally, completely wiped out, physically done, mentally drained, sure, they can't go on.
Yeah, that feeling we all know.
That's the moment. He says you're actually only at about 40% of what your body and mind can really handle.
That's a staggering claim. So you're saying most of our potential is it's sitting there unused behind this wall of discomfort we've built.
Exactly. So what he says to do is identify that moment. The second you hear the excuses starting in your head, that's the 40% mark. And that's when you have to deliberately push for another hour or two.
So for someone listening, maybe at work, when you hit that wall on a project and you feel totally burned out.
That's the signal. Goggins would say that's where the real work begins.
Yeah.
You're not actually fighting fatigue. You're fighting your mind trying to negotiate an easy way out.
That's a great way to frame it. So the suffering isn't a stop sign. It's a landmark. It means you're at the edge of your growth zone, which leads right into his next idea. And this one sounds awful. Callous your mind.
It is awful. By design. He uses this analogy of like a construction worker's hands.
Okay.
Through friction and hard work, your hands get these thick, protective calluses. He's saying you have to do the exact same thing to your mind.
So he's not just talking about getting through hard times. He's saying you should actively go looking for them.
Yes. Volunteer for suffering. That's his phrase.
What does that look like in practice?
It means you choose the harder path on purpose. You get up an hour earlier when you don't have to. You run that extra mile in the rain. You stick to your diet when everyone else is ordering pizza.
Oh, okay.
By repeatedly doing the things you don't want to do, you build up these mental calluses against pain, against procrastination. So when real hardship hits, you lose your job, you get sick, your mind is already hardened. It's conditioned for the shock.
I like that. It makes it sound less, I don't know, aggressive and more like preventative maintenance for your mind. But then the next concept, this one's a little more charged. Take souls.
It sounds aggressive for sure. But you have to understand his very specific definition of it. For him, this is a kind of revenge, but without any violence.
Okay.
He says that the people who doubt you, the people who look down on you or want to see you fail, they are actively waiting for you to fail.
So how do you take their soul?
You just outperform them so completely, so relentlessly, that their doubt becomes irrelevant. Winning quietly is the most devastating response.
So you're shifting the energy. Instead of being angry at them, you turn it inward into your own discipline.
Exactly. Your success becomes the weapon. It just silently dismantles whatever story they were telling themselves about you. You get so focused on your own goals that their opinions they don't even register anymore. And that immunity, that's the real victory.
That is a powerful idea. Okay, let's bring this back to the audiobook, because when you're talking about things like trauma or something like his accountability mirror, hearing his voice must change everything.
It absolutely transforms it. It stops being a book and it starts feeling like a documentary of his own mind. We know his childhood was just filled with pain, an abusive father, zero confidence.
In the book, you can read that, and it's powerful, sure. But in the audio,
when you hear him talk about it, and there are moments, you can hear his voice actually start to tremble. Or he has to pause. That raw emotion, it connects with you on a totally different level. It makes you understand where all that drive comes from. It humanizes the whole thing.
I think that's probably most clear when he talks about the accountability mirror. It's a brilliant idea, but it's also terrifying.
It forces brutal honesty. And for Goggins, that's the starting point for everything. He talks about standing in front of his mirror and putting up sticky notes with just the absolute harshest truths about himself.
Things like, you're fat, you're lazy, you're wasting your life, just zero sugarcoating.
Which is the total opposite of most self-help stuff today, right? It's all about self-compassion. This sounds like self-brutality.
It does, but there's a key difference. The sticky note isn't just an insult, it's a contract.
A contract.
Yes, he doesn't just write the problem. He forces himself to write the solution and a deadline right next to it. It's his way of eliminating every single excuse. And when you hear him describe the shame and then the drive, you understand the power of just facing your own flaws head on. And all of this is backed up by those incredible ultra-endurance stories, the Hell Week stories, the 100-mile runs. In the audiobook, you're practically feeling the pain with him.
Exactly. You're hearing his thought process while his body is literally breaking down. It's one thing to read that he ran on broken bones. It's another thing entirely to hear him describe the exact mental conversation he was having with himself to push through that pain. It makes resilience feel tangible. Okay,
we have to talk about the other side of this, though, for balance. This is an extreme philosophy. It's not for everyone, and there are real risks involved.
Oh, absolutely. The raw honesty is why people love it, but sources are clear. The harsh language, the intensity, it can be a lot. If you're looking for gentle inspiration, this is not it.
So what's the danger? If you're always on, always pushing past that 40% mark, I mean, don't you just risk burnout or injury?
That's the core tension, isn't it? You have to engage with this material critically. The price for that kind of mental toughness is a life of constant self-imposed discomfort. Goggins has had tons of injuries. But for his fans, that's the whole point. They're tired of this sanitized, easy fix motivation out there. They want something real.
So who is this for then? Who is the person who really needs this kind of mental shock therapy?
I think it's for anyone who is seriously stuck. People who struggle with discipline, entrepreneurs who are drowning in self-doubt, students who just can't stop procrastinating.
Or someone recovering from trauma.
Exactly. Someone who needs a framework to build self-respect from the ground up through pure effort. It's for people who need a complete reset, not just a little push.
So this deep dive really confirms it. Can't hurt me. It's way more than a memoir. It's a playbook for rewiring your brain, and the audiobook just makes it 1,000 times more effective.
It totally reframes struggle. It teaches you that real growth only starts at the exact moment you're convinced you have nothing left.
So here's the final thought we want to leave you with, and it's built on that 40% rule. If Goggins is right, if there's always 60% more in the tank when you feel spent, we have a challenge for you.
Think about something you did this week. A tough project, a hard workout, a difficult conversation. Something where you walked away and thought, okay, that's it, I gave 100%.
Now, what would happen if you went back to that task tomorrow and you intentionally tried to apply that other 60%? What potential limit in your life have you just accepted that you could be willing to explore?
That's your call to action from this deep dive. Go find that hidden 60%.
That's all the time we have. Thanks for joining us as we unpack the mind of David Goggins. We'll catch you next time.